Welcome to the Revolutionary Sports Show. I'm your co-host Corey Sullivan. Over there we have
Brian Duchaine.
Brian. How you doing this morning?
Pretty good. It's always fun getting up before the early show and just giving our picks right before all the games start. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, we would be in ready to go before all the morning games start, but fortunately, I guess for fans over in England across the pond there, they are witnessing the Jacksonville Jaguars put it to the Baltimore Ravens right now. I'm not sure what the score is at this exact moment. Don't want to ruin it for anybody. But it was not looking good in the first half. Jacksonville dominated them. Joe Flacco was looking awful, and it's kind of what I expected. London game, Jacksonville Jaguars, Baltimore Ravens, and it's a game the Jacksonville Jaguars, since, obviously they're not selling out games, that this is their fifth year in a row that they've gone over to England or played internationally and trying to expand the NFL. But who did you have in this game, and did you think that Jacksonville would have this commanding lead that they have?
I didn't think that they were going to get that big of a lead, especially because they were favored to lose by 3. Actually, Baltimore was favored to win by 3, I guess you could say, in better terms. But yeah, I took a look at it, and Jacksonville was running away with it. And after I picked Jacksonville, they laid an egg last week, so I wasn't going to pick them this week because I had to apologize to them last week and everything after they made me look bad in week 1, and then they just came back and made me look bad again in week 2 after I picked them. So I was not going to pick Jacksonville in this one, and I don't know if it's Joe Flacco or the defense or what's going on over there. But like you said, it's one of those London games. Anything can happen. Both teams get over there. You don't really know how guys are going to react or anything like that. And then it's just one of those teams that are going to kind of react better to the travel. And I think that's what Jacksonville did, is they adapted better. They obviously didn't have any distractions or anything like that. And they just came out swinging. So, hats off to Jacksonville, but I didn't think they were going to take a 23-point lead into halftime or whatever it ends up being, because I think last I saw it was 23-0, but I don't know exactly what's going on now. It could be 100-0 right now. So what do you see in that one?
Yeah, obviously I'm not going to take credit for this game. It's already halfway over, and I wouldn't say it's decided yet, but with almost a 3-touchdown lead, it's pretty out of reach, in my opinion. But I would have chosen the Jaguars if I was making this pick, just because they have played over across the pond, and jet lag is a real thing. 8-hour time difference from over here on the West Coast. Although both of these are East Coast teams, both Baltimore and Jacksonville, still 5-hour difference even from there. And you think 5 hours, doing something 5 hours in advance of when you would do it. Lunchtime for you is 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock over there. So I think the Jags just had that experience, although the Baltimore Ravens had more NFL game experience. I think the time difference is a real thing. It's really affecting the Ravens, and I would have went with the Jags, but hopefully it becomes a better game. I think if you're trying to build that brand over in England, that they want to see some exciting games, no blowouts, but right now, not looking good, and I think Jacksonville is going to run away with that one. But, for the first morning game over here in the States, we have the Denver Broncos taking on the Buffalo Bills. And Denver's looking good. I believe number 1 ranked in the power rankings this week, playing really well, dominated the Cowboys, and Trevor Siemian has been playing really, really well lately. So the hottest quarterback in the game right now, Trevor Siemian, and C.J. Anderson, just a solid running back, have been, tearing it up back there for the Broncos, and then, going against the Buffalo Bills, who are, I don't know if they're rebuilding or trying to build. I don't know what they would have been rebuilding, but definitely a work in progress, and I don't think that they have much of a chance against the Broncos today.
Yeah, and like you said, Trevor Siemian, I wasn't really sold on him when the season started. He's one of those guys that's come out and, at least in the first 2 weeks, improved himself. So I do like what I've seen out of Trevor Siemian. I'm going to pick him on the road. Buffalo, Tyrod Taylor, not the normal Tyrod Taylor that we've seen in the past. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Denver in that one as well. And although I know neither of us are huge C.J. Anderson fans, I think him and Trevor Siemian have actually been able to, look good out there and kind of put forward their best stuff. So I'm going to go with Denver. They're favored by 2, and I say they cover that easily.
Yeah, that's a good one. Um, I'm surprised it's only two, but moving on, we have a battle of some really good, some potentially great quarterbacks. Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints heading into Carolina and taking on Cam Newton and the Panthers. Uh, Cam Newton and the Panthers have looked far from impressive this year so far. Only 2 weeks in, so nothing to panic about. They are winning games, number one defense in the NFL. So have only allowed 6 total points on the season. The field goals in both games. So uh, they just need to click on offense, and then it'll be a scary team. But over on the other side, the Saints offense not really moving the ball, defense the worst pass defense in the NFL. So if the Panthers offense is going to get on track, they would want to do it. This is a game that they could really get a momentum boost pushing forward. And playing at home, it's always easier to play at home. So I'm going with the Panthers in this one. Although I do like Drew Brees, one of the great quarterbacks of our time.
And I think you said last week the best quarterbacks rarely have 2 bad weeks, but Drew Brees kind of has had those 2 bad weeks. And even if he puts up points, the defense is just Swiss cheese on the other side. There's tons of holes in that defense. You can just run right through it. Carolina has looked absolutely flat also, but at home against New Orleans, I think this is the week that they get it going, just specifically because New Orleans can't do anything on defense. And then I don't know what's going on with New Orleans, if there's something going on in the backfield or there's some turmoil. We saw Adrian Peterson upset with the coach and everything like that. So I don't know. I just feel like Sean Payton and Adrian Peterson have something going on. I don't know if there's something going on between him and the other running backs or, what the case is there. But I feel like there's something that we're not seeing going on in the locker room or something with New Orleans. So I'm going Carolina at home.
Yeah, a good pick. Sticking to the running back topic, you can't talk about running backs without talking about Le'Veon Bell, arguably the best running back in the game. And today, his Pittsburgh Steelers are taking on the Chicago Bears. I believe the game is in Chicago. I guess that's one positive for the Bears. They don't have a whole lot going for them. I think that this will be the week that we'll see Mitchell Trubisky finally make his debut and finally take over from Mike Glennon. The offense just not impressive. Defense, couldn't name 5 players on that defense. If you gave me 100 chances, it's just no disrespect, but they're just not a good team. Just not a good team. And on the other side, Pittsburgh is they're always good, always a decent team. Defense is getting better. Not holding the offense back, but the running game, it needs to improve if they're going to beat some of the better teams in the league. And not that the Bears are one of the better teams in the league, but you need that momentum. You need some solid games like this to put on the calendar that will boost you up against when you go against the the Seahawks and the Patriots and some of those other top tier teams. So I think this is one of those games that the Steelers will dominate. We'll see something from the run game, and the pass game will be on point as usual. So I'm going with the Steelers.
Yeah, and I don't think you can really pick anybody but the Steelers in this one because, like you said, Chicago not looking real good, and I don't care who they start at quarterback. They're just not a good team, like you said. And then you got Antonio Brown on the other side. He's absolutely going to tear up that defense today. Le'Veon Bell, he's had those days that you're like, hey, is he going to get going? He will get going today, and it's going to be a tough day for Chicago. I'm going Pittsburgh all day for that one.
Yeah, and then we come into a matchup that you are particularly interested in, I believe, the reigning NFC champs, the Atlanta Falcons, heading into Detroit to face off against your Lions. Atlanta playing well right now. Matt Ryan, Devontae Freeman, and Julio Jones all playing well this year. But Vic Beasley hurt his hamstring last week, will be out at least a month. Probably longer. Hamstring injuries are not something that you just, heal overnight and then just get back to it. You never know how long they'll linger. And, he's the vocal point of their pass rush. It's something that, makes the Falcons defense respectable as it is they have some solid guys in the secondary and, a solid pass rush with Vic Beasley. So without that, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do, what pressure they could put on the now highest paid player in the NFL, Matt Stafford. And even Amir Abdullah made an appearance and made the Lions game look respectable last week. So I'm going with the Lions just because if you're a pass rushing team and you have no pass rush, defensively the Lions big play Slay, one of the best players in the game, also best dressed. and Jared Davis and Ziggy Ansah, one guy at each level that can truly take over and dominate a game. It's going to be tough for Atlanta to come into Detroit and dethrone those guys there. So I'm going with your boys, the Detroit Lions.
Surprising. Every expert pick I've heard has said Detroit's going to get absolutely destroyed in this game. So it's refreshing to hear somebody else picking the Lions. I got to go with the Lions just because I got to pick my boys. But from the Lions last week is they really haven't been able to get any pressure on the quarterback in previous years. They got 5 sacks last week against New York. And then also Ziggy Ansah had 3 by himself. And he was one of those guys last year that they were like, he really needs to get going. Ziggy Ansah is the key to this team, and he just never has really surfaced. Now he got 3 sacks in one game. Defense got 5 punt return touchdowns. So I'm going with the Lions in this one. Julio versus Big Play Slay should be real fun to watch, but I'll take Detroit by 1 in this one.
There you go. Should be fun to watch. But a game that may not be as fun to watch, we have the Cleveland Browns. I did not mean to laugh. I apologize. Versus the Indianapolis Colts, probably the least watched game this year, maybe. But all jokes aside, unfortunately, the Colts will be without Andrew Luck once again, and they're struggling. They don't know if they're going to go with Brissett, Tolzien, both unimpressive to this point, and have made guys like T.Y. Hilton, Frank Gore, Dante Moncrief, Jack Doyle all, I don't want to say terrible, but they're just not playing well with the way that the quarterback has been playing. And, the defense has never been anything great. And on the other side, the Cleveland Browns are an up-and-coming team, a young defense, a young offense. Deshaun Kaiser trying to find his way through the NFL. But if I had to choose a team, I think I'm going to go with the Browns. Just they have more exciting players to watch. I want to see Jabril Peppers do something special and, show everyone that he deserved to be one of those first-round picks. But I'm not seeing anything from the Colts that would entice me to choose them on any week with the way that they look right now.
Yeah, and the guys in Vegas, they looked like they didn't really know what to do because they just put a 1 next to the Cleveland pick there. So they're probably like, all right, which one do I pick? Should we just flip a coin for it? We're putting 1 point on either side. So Cleveland is the pick by 1 point at Indianapolis. Andrew Luck being out is absolutely huge for Indianapolis again. And like you said, without a quarterback, those receivers just look like phantoms. It's not close to Halloween yet, but they look like ghosts out there because there's nobody there to throw to. So they could be wide open, and that ball is going somewhere into the defense's hands. So I'm going to go with Cleveland in this one also, even though we rarely pick the Browns on this show. I know they haven't really given us a whole lot to pick from in the past, but I'm going to go with Cleveland by 1. I'm sticking with that line that Vegas spotted us with, but I just don't think Indianapolis is going to be able to move the ball at all.
I agree. I think that you're right. I'm not sure what Vegas has on this next matchup, but we have Jameis Winston and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading into Minnesota, taking on the Vikings and their vaunted defense. I like Jameis and Deshaun, Mike Evans, and O.J. Howard heading in there. They've already used their bye week with the hurricane that affected the area in week 1. And for some reason, I think that Tampa Bay can pull this off. I think the Vikings have a really good defense, one of those not so young, experienced, but young-ish defenses. But their offense I'm not convinced that it can really face off against some of the top-tier teams. And I think the Buccaneers are becoming one of those better teams in the league. Don't think that they're quite there yet. But I think that, if you're going to get there, Jameis has to go into some of these away games, some of these tough environments, and beat up on some good defenses. And I think this is his week. So I'm choosing the Buccaneers, although I can see I haven't seen the line yet. So, if I'm right, hopefully, somebody will believe me out there. But I think that the Vikings are probably favored at home in this one. But I'm going with Jameis in my pick.
Yeah, and I think the line's probably closer than you think because Sam Bradford being out probably plays a huge role in how they decide that. So I think Tampa Bay might actually be favored in this one specifically because Sam Bradford's out, but I'm not sure exactly what the line was on that game. I left that one off for some reason, but I guess I didn't focus in on a whole lot of the line for this game. But Tampa Bay at Minnesota. Like you said, Jameis Winston should be able to just go out there and test himself at least. Minnesota has a decent defense, but then it's going to come down to the offense. Can the offense kind of stay on the field, give their defense a rest, and give them time to recharge and everything like that? But Sam Bradford being out, I think it's huge, and I'm going with Tampa Bay in this one as well.
Yeah, another game I'm excited for is this Houston Texans heading into New England. Deshaun Watson had a huge win last week on Thursday. It was his birthday. Comeback victory, and he looked great. You know, his first start as a starter here in the NFL, and started just as he left off in college. Won a huge game, and now he's facing off against one of the greatest players of all time, Tom Brady, in New England, and I think he can do it. The defense, J.J. Watt is a stud, and Jadeveon Clowney and the rest of those guys are going to hold him down and really produce. So I think Deshaun will be able to outplay Tom Brady, although Tom Brady is going to be playing great there at home in Foxborough, and it's going to be exciting. So that's the game that I'm going to be watching. I'm rooting for the Texans, although I expect it to be a close one. What do you think about this Texans-Patriots matchup?
Yeah, the Patriots are favored by 13 at home, and I just don't think Houston's going to go into Foxborough and pull out a win in this one. And at times, Houston's offense has looked a little bit sketchy. When they win games, it's like, all right, let's squeak this out real quick. And then even in week one, it just didn't look like it was firing on all cylinders. So New England, I think, goes out there, is able to run up some points, and I thought Houston's defense has looked pretty good. But against a guy like Tom Brady, you're going to have to step up your game a lot. So I'm saying Tom Brady covers the spread of 13.
Wow, that's a huge spread, especially in the NFL. A spread that I don't think it may not even reach 13 total points. We have the Miami Dolphins heading into New York to face off against the Jets, and the Jets, led by Josh McCown and Jermaine Kearse, the dynamic duo, will be hosting the Miami Dolphins' Jay Cutler and Jay Ajayi. So a battle of the Titans, as you can see. Fantasy owners are going nuts right now. Another one of those, just, draw something out of the hat. I think the Dolphins are a better team, but you never know how teams play on the road. People always either play down or play up to their competition, especially mediocre at best teams like the Dolphins or the Jets. But just for the sake of choosing, and I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I think the Jets just have nothing on offense, to be completely honest with you, especially with Quincy Enunwa out, I believe, for the whole season. Jermaine Kearse and Bilo Powell, I don't see those two guys running up the score on anybody. I would hope not anyways. The Dolphins, especially with as much money as they pay that defensive line, I know they're going through some things right now with Lawrence Timmons and, him missing the game last week and all of that. But I think even with those distractions inside the team, I think, talent-wise, they have a lot more than the Jets, although they are starting Jay Cutler as their quarterback. So I'm going with the Dolphins.
Yeah, and I've heard Jay Ajayi has been probable from one source, and then ESPN says he's questionable. So not sure if he's going to play or not. He likely will play. It's probably just
Brian, are you there?
Just saying, he may not play, and then he's going to come out, see what he can do. But, Miami at New York Jets, that's just kind of one of those matchups that you're like, okay, here we go again. It's just one of those Cleveland at Indianapolis types, but not nearly that bad. So I'm going to go with Miami in this one just because, like you said, Jermaine Kearse, just one of those guys I'm not sold on at all as a number one receiver. Everyone gave him credit for each week for getting 18 points.